Well, hello again from Newcastle United's training ground, and here I am in Eddie Howe's hot seat. On the subject of hot, I know you expats do like a weather update. It's lovely and warm outside today, so yeah, why don't we go out there, and I'll start by bringing you some big injury updates. Well, actually, it's a lot windier than I thought out here. Yeah, I do think the switch for the wind machine is probably somewhere around here. Newcastle United must have the most exposed training pitches in the country. It always seems to be blowing a gale in these parts. We might finish this video in the rather more sheltered surrounds of leafy Gosforth. So, no, the injury updates, yeah, and the big two to come out of Saturday were two players Newcastle lost mid-game in the first half, Joe Linton and Fabian Schär. They're both going to go for scans today. Schär's problem is a glute, Joe Linton's problem is a hamstring. Eddie Howe said to us just 10 minutes ago there, neither problem was thought to be serious, but they will know more by the end of the day, and while those players haven't yet had the scans, I would say that's a wait and see. There was also a significant update on Harvey Barnes. It was a question I asked. Now, on Friday, if you remember, I was walking up and down this very patch of road, and Eddie said to us the news wasn't necessarily good on Harvey Barnes in terms of, unfortunately, he said, his words, they hadn't had an operation back in September when he first suffered the foot injury, and as a result there was a danger now he could need surgery. Now, I asked him for a slight update. He said nothing's changed really, but they're still hoping, and he said that they're hopeful that Barnes will be back in 4 to 5 weeks' time, which would be the middle of January, if that pain that he is feeling does ease. Now, that for me, I say significant because Anthony Gordon on Saturday, and you guys know what I've spoken about Gordon this season. I think if you're picking Newcastle's player of the year, it's a toss-up between him and Kieran Trippier so far. Gordon perhaps probably edges it. So, but Gordon in the last couple of games, has he had that 90 minutes, where he's been relentless for the full game, where he's had that same level of explosion? He's been good. He's been very good. He laid on a goal on Saturday. He cracked the bar in the first half. He's playing well, but I do think his performance has dropped off in terms of, he's gone from a 9 to a 7 or an 8. There's no criticism there at all. He just looks like a player who perhaps could do with a little bit of rotation and a little bit of a rest. So to that end, if Barnes is back in 4 to 5 weeks, and I think at the moment it still sounds like a big if, that would be huge really in terms of what it does for Gordon as much as what it does for Barnes. Other injury news, I mentioned Kieran Trippier there. He was suspended on Saturday, but he had come off against Milan, having taken the knock. Eddie Howe says he's fine for the game down at Chelsea tomorrow, but he will chat to him today and just see where he's at in terms of that workload. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if Trippier didn't feature from the off tomorrow. I think you'd seen in recent games that his performance, again, another one with Gordon, who's been absolutely tremendous, no criticism attached, but at Tottenham and at Everton, mistakes had started to creep in, and he looked like a player in need of a rest. If anything, the suspension on Saturday was a blessing in disguise, and Eddie hinted to us there that it's, even though he is fit and he is fine in terms of the injury, he's going to have a chat to him today, and it wouldn't be a surprise if he didn't perhaps feature from the off down at Chelsea tomorrow. Other updates as well, Alexander Isak. Now this is the one which I would say remains the biggest concern, because Isak, it was revealed, went for a scan last week on a groin injury. Eddie says it is an ongoing issue. It's as much to do with fatigue as anything, but they want to protect him so that he is not injured like he was previously, and he could miss, I think as Eddie said, you have a situation where he could be out for 6 weeks or so. So to that end, will Isak start down at Chelsea tomorrow? I'd say absolutely not. Eddie said there's a chance he could be involved. I think at best it will be an option from the bench. But why is it a concern? Well, this goes back to something I said a couple of weeks ago and last week as well about Alexander Isak's resilience. And the best players for me, the very best players, part of the deal is you play, and you play every week and you play well. And I love Alexander Isak. I think he's an elite level player. He's been better than I ever thought he would be, really, in terms of that ability. At times he's made £63 million look cheap. He's been tremendous on his game and on form. What a top level player he is. But do we see that every week without fail, without question? Well, no, I don't think we do. And I just think there's a resilience issue there. And again, that is the concern with him, that now they're having to manage another injury, and until he has a full season or a really long extended period where he does play week in, week out, and plays well week in, week out, I would say, question marks do remain over him, as much as I really like and admire him as a player. So, okay guys, I've managed to escape the wind before we do head on down to Gosforth, and one other quick little update from Eddie Howe is that there will be no Christmas party this year for the players, not that he knows of anyway. He said if us guys find out, please do let him know. But yeah, that is totally fair enough, given the schedule, given the injuries. I just think at the moment there's just no scope for it at all really in the calendar. We did joke that given the number of scans they're having at the moment, they could have a Christmas bash in the canteen of the private clinic they use there in Newcastle. So no, if you do see any Newcastle players out and about over the course of the next few days, don't tell Eddie Howe. Well, sadly, the streets of Gosforth aren't immune to the wind, so here we are. I thought, why not bring you inside my kitchen/office, and what a lovely festive scene it is too. Now, on the subject of festivities, I met the guys from the BBC. They were having a Christmas drink in Gosforth last night. Among that number was Matthew Raisbeck, the BBC Newcastle commentator, and what a fine commentator he is. But yeah, this morning, I think Ray's had put back on the bright Christmas jumper he had on yesterday, and Eddie Howe picked up on it too.
Very colourful, Razor. It's good. Parrot. Yeah, bright.
Every single person's in there.
A lot of praises.
So yeah, while we were having a beer last night, I was chatting to John Anderson. We're talking about Newcastle's away form. Yeah, guys, I wish you could have been there. It was a great do. But no, that's what we were talking about. And the conclusion myself and Ando came to was that while the away form remains what it is, and we spoke about the league table, Newcastle right now after the weekend are joint top of the Premier League home form table. They are 1 point above what would be the bottom three for the away form. So that tells you that huge disparity. And it was a question I asked of Eddie Howe this morning. Does he have reason for that? Eddie said that he believes over the course of the season it will even itself out. He didn't really go into any one reason. He said there wasn't any one reason. He said you look at the characteristics, the application, the physicality, the numbers away from home, and he said they're all there. So there wasn't really an explanation for it. So I'll give my own, and I think it comes back to a midfield issue really, and control. And I've covered pretty much all of Newcastle's away games this season, and you don't really go there with the same confidence as someone who covers Newcastle as what you would have had last year. There was a spell last year where they were going away and you just thought they'll win because they're better than the opposition. Had that brilliant run, didn't they? Brentford away, West Ham away. West Ham away this season, by the way, was a prime example of a game where Newcastle got themselves in a winning position. I thought they were the better team. I didn't think West Ham were that great, to be honest with you. And then somehow they haven't had the control to win the game. And I do think it comes back to midfield. And I'm going to pick a player here in Bruno Guimaraes, who was absolutely the flavour of the month right now. A wonderful performance on Saturday. But what I will say is this, and I always try to be honest, Bruno on Saturday, everything was there for him. I think I said this in the video after the game, to be that superhero, to don his cape and to win the game for his team, and he did that. That is where he's wonderful. I honestly think he's a different player away from home, and perhaps, and is this his fault? Is that maybe not? Maybe it just needs a different type of player in the team. And I go back to it on broken record, that six, that holder, that someone said to me at the weekend, why doesn't Eddie play with a double pivot? I said, well, he doesn't even play with a single pivot really. If you think about it, there is no defined holding midfielder shielding the back four and trying to offer that control, that discipline from a deep lying midfield position in the game. And that for me, I think is especially what they've missed away from home. I think the away performances have by and large existed on moments, and they've got good players, so they will have moments, they will get themselves in good positions. Sheffield United is the only probably example where everything has absolutely clicked. I mean in the league, because as Eddie pointed out this morning, there's been very good away performances in the Carabao Cup and the PSG. I accept that, but until they get that in the Premier League, they're not going to get back in the top four. They're just not. And this goes back to something this is the feeling you've got going away with Newcastle at the moment, and it does apply to the game tomorrow. Now, when I first started covering Newcastle on a regular basis, 2006, 2007 time, I remember saying to my friends, it's not until you cover them and you put in the distance travelling and going away in the hotels and everything that you realise teams lose most weeks away from home, especially Newcastle during that period. You realise the coverage and all of how big it felt when they won, that how rare it was. And it's almost got back to that at the moment now. I'll be honest, I go away with Newcastle And I haven't got a great deal of confidence in them winning. I didn't necessarily think they would win down at Everton. I had little confidence in them winning at Tottenham. Yes, there are other mitigating factors for that. Of course, there's the injuries, the stretch. I get all of that, 100%. But they weren't stretched earlier in the season at West Ham to a degree. You know, Brighton as well was a poor away performance. And I do think there are questions there that need answering. And when I asked that of Eddie this morning, he said he felt it would come. And you know, when bodies do return and things do clear up, we've got to take him at that and see how it goes. But this one again tomorrow night down at Chelsea is another huge test. And team-wise now, we're trying to pick a team amongst ourselves for the likely lineup in the newspaper afterwards. And I'll rattle through it. You know, we went Dubravka in goal. As I hinted earlier in the video, I think Trippier probably will be rested. You've then got a back four of Kraft, who I thought was brilliant on Saturday, deserves to stay in. Centre-backs, Lascelles, and then one of Burn or Dummett. Left side of centre-back and one of Burn, Dummett or Livramento at left-back. The midfield three then picks itself. There are only three. It's got to be Miley, Guimaraes and Sean Longstaff. The front three again, and this is becoming a problem because of what I said earlier about Gordon, Almiron and Wilson have almost got to play. The only other option is bringing in a player like Matt Ritchie, and maybe he'll do that and afford Gordon a rest or play Gordon through the middle and have the option of Wilson off the bench, given the risk now of Wilson's fitness with this ongoing issue with Alexander Isak. So we'll have to wait and see. But if you're asking me for a prediction, I think it'll be tough for them tomorrow night. Now, I thought the same going down to Manchester United, and they surprised me there, and they were absolutely wonderful. But wouldn't it be great if they could produce something similar on the back of the disappointment of the European time? We've seen Paris Saint-Germain have just been drawn against Real Sociedad as well, another two legs. Wow, you probably would have fancied Newcastle to beat Sociedad, which would have meant a Champions League Cup quarter-final, Champions League quarter-final. As it is, it's a Carabao Cup quarter-final. And Eddie was asked today, you know, would it be almost a blessing if you were out of this competition, given the injuries, the schedule, the importance of the top four? And he said, no, absolutely not. Now, I take his word at that. You know, I think he said the team and the squad have got a bond with this competition after what happened last season and getting to the final. So I do think they'll be going all out to win tomorrow. I really do. I've just got a concern for them that I think it might be perhaps a game too far in this competition. But I've been wrong before, and I'm happy to be wrong again. That's not me being negative. I'm just not going to sit here every game and say Newcastle are going to win. I'll never do that. So thank you again for watching. The links below to the pieces I've written from today are in the description below. And I'll see you down at Chelsea tomorrow night. If you are going down, have a safe journey. Please say hello if you see me on the train, and I'll see you again in about 24 hours time. Take care, guys. Bye bye.